Can I ask you a question? Have you ever met someone who was incredibly intelligent, highly educated, successful in business, but somehow they struggled to connect with people? Maybe that's been you. Maybe you're capable, you have good intentions, you know what you're talking about, but somehow people misunderstand you. Your conversations may become frustrating and you find yourself wondering, why doesn't anyone understand what I'm trying to say? So here's the truth. Intelligence doesn't automatically make you a great communicator. Because communication isn't just about what you know, it's about how well you understand yourself and the person standing in front of you. So today I want to show you why smart people often struggle to communicate, but more importantly, how to change it. So let's get into it. We've been taught that knowledge is power. Get the degree, read the books, become the experts, and all of that matters. But here's the problem. Knowledge teaches you how to solve problems. Communication teaches you how to connect with people. Those are two very different skills. I've met brilliant leaders who couldn't build trust, brilliant entrepreneurs who couldn't keep employees, and brilliant parents who couldn't connect with their children. Not because they lacked intelligence, but because they lacked awareness. They assume that if I can communicate it clearly, or if I can explain it clearly, then people should understand. But communication doesn't work that way. People don't just hear your words, they filter your words through their personalities, their experiences, their fears, their expectations, their emotional states. So you can say the right thing and you can still be misunderstood. So let's think about how many relationships have been damaged because someone was trying to be right instead of trying to understand. Let's look at the manager who overwhelms their employee with information but never notices they're confused. Or maybe the spouse who solves every problem when their partner simply wanted someone to listen. Or maybe it's the parent instead of the parent who lectures instead of connecting with their child. Or it could be the friend who gives advice when empathy was needed first. So here's what happened. Smart people often believe that if I have the facts, then I have the answer. But relationships aren't built on facts alone. They're built on connection. And if people don't feel understood, they'll stop listening. Even if what you're saying is true. So, can I challenge you? Sometimes the greatest obstacle to communication isn't lack of intelligence. It's the assumption that intelligence is enough. So, what's our answer? Emotional intelligence, self-awareness. Learning that communication isn't about proving your point. It's about making sure people feel seen, heard, and understood. Healthy communicators ask themselves 3 questions. What am I trying to say? How might this person receive it? And what's the best way to communicate? So notice the difference. The focus shifts from me to us. And that's where communication changes. That's where relationships actually grow. Now here's what I don't want. I don't want you to leave this video thinking, I know someone who needs this. I really want you to ask, where do I need to grow? Because growth begins when we stop evaluating everyone else and start evaluating ourselves. So let me give you 5 reasons why smart people often struggle to communicate and how you can become the kind of communicator people trust, respect, and actually want to listen to. So let's dive into it. Teaching point number 1. Intelligence doesn't equal self-awareness. You know a lot and you still not know yourself, right? You can know a lot and still not know yourself. You can explain complex ideas but struggle to explain your emotions. You can solve business problems but not recognize your own communication habits. Self-awareness asks questions like, how do I respond under pressure? Do I interrupt people? Do I listen or wait for my turn to speak? How does my tone affect others? Knowledge builds competence. Self-awareness builds connection. Point number 2. Smart people often listen to respond instead of understand. Have you ever caught yourself finishing someone else's sentence, interrupting because you already knew where they were going, thinking about your answer instead of listening? That's common, especially for people who process quickly. But communication isn't a race. Listening isn't waiting to talk. It's actually creating space for someone else to feel heard. People don't just remember what you said, they actually remember how you made them feel. Point number 3, facts without empathy create distance. Truth. I'm going to repeat that again. Facts without empathy create distance. Now, the truth matters, but delivery matters too. So you can be completely right and completely ineffective, because people receive information better when they feel respected. Before solving the problem, just connect with the person. So instead of saying, here's what you should do, try asking, help me understand how you're feeling. You see, empathy doesn't weaken the truth, it actually prepares people to receive the truth. I'm going to say that one more time. Empathy doesn't weaken truth, it prepares people to receive it. Point number 4, not everyone thinks like you. So one of the biggest communication mistakes is assuming everyone processes information the way that you do. Some people need details, others need the big picture. Some people decide quickly, others need time to think. And neither is wrong. They're just simply different. So great communicators actually adapt. They don't expect everyone else to. In fact, flexibility is considered a strength, not a compromise. Point number 5, clarity beats complexity. Sometimes smart people make simple things sound complicated, not intentionally, but because they're so familiar with the subject. So remember this, if people leave your conversation confused, you haven't communicated very well. The goal isn't to sound impressive, but the goal is to be understood. The best communicators, these are the type of people that can explain difficult ideas in simple language, and that's considered influence. Now, imagine what would happen if people left conversations with you feeling understood instead of overwhelmed, feeling encouraged instead of corrected, feeling connected instead of judged. That's the kind of communicator people follow, because communication isn't about showing people how much you know, it's about helping people know how much you care. And that's exactly why we created our True You Intelligence Black Book, because better communication starts with better self-awareness. Now, inside of this Black Book, you'll discover guided reflection questions, questions that reveal your communication style, activities that uncover your emotional triggers, and practical tools that will help you communicate with greater clarity, build stronger relationships, and lead with confidence. Now, here at True IQ, we believe the greatest communication breakthrough isn't new words, it's learning yourself. If you're ready to stop guessing about why conversations keep breaking down and start communicating with clarity, click the link in the description and grab your copy of the True You Intelligence Black Book. Because when you understand yourself, you communicate differently. Now, before you leave, I want you to answer one question in the comments. What's one communication habit you've realized you need to improve? Is it listening, interrupting, assuming, your tone, or something else? Your honesty could encourage someone else, and it's going to encourage someone else to actually start growing too. If this message added value, share it with someone who loves learning but wants to become better at connecting with people. Subscribe to True IQ, because every week we're helping people discover who they truly are, so we can communicate with clarity, lead with purpose, and build healthier relationships. And remember this, people won't remember everything you said, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. Don't just become smarter, become more self-aware, because that's where real communication begins.